for my next project, I'm going to be working on a federal duck stamp painting. It's to enter in a contest for the federal duck stamps. It's actually quite a feather in your cap if you can even get accepted into the contest, much less win it. You have to paint on a piece of masonite, which is pressed board. It's very thin. The paintable area that they want is 7 by 10, but you have to cut out a 12 by 9 and then mask off an inch on each side. So I'm going to show you step-by-step process of this, starting with cutting the masonite to prepping it, drying, doing the whole painting. Hope you can enjoy it. Thanks. So now I've got the board marked off for 12 wide, 9 high. This masonite is only, it's not even a 1/4 inch thick, because the whole thing, including the little mat that you have to put around it, can only be a 1/4 inches thick. They're very strict with their size. So now I'm going to get a saw, I'm going to cut it. I'll talk to you when I'm done. So as you can see, I don't have like a regular shop here in my studio, so I'm kind of improvising, using the table and the chair arm over here to be balanced. I got a garbage can down there to catch the sawdust, and I'm just using this this blade right here. It actually works pretty good on masonite. Now the secret is make sure that you cut on this side of the line to make sure that you get the whole 12 inches that I need. I'm starting really carefully at first. Once you get into this, it goes a little bit quicker, but there we go. So now I'm going to go ahead and cut off this other little section here. Masonite is very fragile at times, so you have to be very careful. And this, I got this little thing here, but I think I can cut that off with a utility knife. Get out this last little part. Actually, that's not a very good way to do it. I'm cutting my thumb. I have done that before. That can actually be even taken off with a little bit of sandpaper. So now I've got the whole board cut out, and now what I'm going to do is just take a little sandpaper and smooth some of the little burrs off of it that you get with the setting. Okay, on to the next step. So now what I'm doing is I'm getting out this gesso. Gesso is a water-based, kind of almost like a really thick acrylic paint. What it's for, it's actually what you put on canvases when you're painting with oil. Canvases that you paint on, and it protects the surface of the support, whether it's canvas or masonite or whatever, from the actual oil, from the oil paint. Because oil is kind of, not that it's caustic, but as it oxidizes, it kind of destroys what it's sitting against. And what this gesso does is it's kind of like a dam, or it protects it. And this, coming straight out of the bucket here, is way too thick. So I thin it down almost to the consistency of honey, you know, like the store-bought honey, the sous vide honey that you squeeze out of the little bear-shaped honey jars. If it's too thick, it'll leave ridges on the masonite. You can get away with it on canvas because it kind of blends in with the canvas weave, but on masonite it's very smooth. So what you do is you just spread it on. I'm going to get going on out here in a minute. So now I have the consistency that I need, and I'm just going to put a little dab on the masonite itself. Then I use this sponge brush to spread it right here. You can buy these anywhere, Michael stores, Orchard Supply, almost any place where they sell paint and paint brushes. They're very inexpensive, but very useful for this sort of purpose. You can get your paint on very, very smoothly without ridges. The secret also is just don't use too much. You can always go back and put more on if you need. Put too much on here, then you're going to have, you won't be able to smooth it out that well. All the way to the edge. Put the old reading glasses on so I can see a little bit better. So then we'll wait for this to dry, and then come back and put a couple more coats on. Okay, now if you look really close, I don't know if you can really see it or not, but this has a little bit of waves on it. And what we'll do to fix that is, and also little tiny chips of some of the dried gesso, we'll just go back over it with a sandpaper. Another thing that you may be able to see is there's a little bit of a warp to it, and that's from only painting one side. And so what we're going to have to do is we'll paint the whole thing along, and also on the edges we'll paint the other side too, so it'll straighten it out. Because this is a piece of fiberboard, it does absorb water, and then because of that it will warp. So we're going to turn it over, do this side right now, and then I'm going to put probably 2 or 3 coats on one side, and then I'm going to get going with the painting. Okay, now I've got the panel done. I put 4 coats of gesso on the painting side, 2 coats on the other side, and all the way around. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a border, an inch border to place my painting inside. It's just all part of what has to be done. I'm taking my masking tape now. I'm not putting it right up to the lines that I drew so that I can paint over the edges slightly, because the last thing you want is for it to be right up to the edge, and then you peel this masking tape off and it pulls some of the tape off, or some of the paint off. So as you can see, the masking tape's right there, the line's just slightly inside of it, so I'll paint over the edges. This morning I went ahead and drew the drawing that I'm going to be putting onto the panel. Here's the picture, the drawing of the goose and her 4 goslings. Then what I do is I've got the panel here, right? You take this carbon paper, and what you do is I'm going to line this up directly over top of it, and then I'll take my pencil and draw along every line that you see here. And as it does that, it will transfer carbon onto the underlying panel. That's how I'll get the drawing from this piece of paper onto the panel. So I'm just going to go ahead, and what you do is you just draw along the lines that you see. I'm going to do her bill right now. Every line that you see, you draw along it. Okay, now done this right. It's in here somewhere. Oh yeah, there it is. And that's how you transfer it on. I'll get back to you when I'm done. So I've got the bird done, all that, and I'm just going to go ahead and do this hillsides. I used a ruler to do these things here. They're kind of like where the tules or the cattails come down into the water. This is going to be water here. A couple vertical lines. Not exactly sure what I'm going to be putting here, so I don't want to do it too hard. So now I pull out the carbon paper, fill this up. I've got a drawing. And a little bit later I'm going to tone it, and then I'll get started painting on it probably next week. one more step I forgot to tell you about is I've got the panel here. Well, I've had a lot of people ask me, well, don't you lose your painting, your drawing when you paint back over it? Well, I would, unless I did this step. I use this stuff called workable fixative. You just spray it, and what it does is it dries and it keeps your painting from, or your sketch from being drawn up while you're painting. I can't do it inside, so I won't show you. This stuff is really toxic. You want to be out. So now I'm going to go ahead and tone my canvas. What I'm going to do this time is I'm going to use Payne's Gray, because I'm going to try to make this look kind of like a early morning tule fog type. When I do this, I use a sock, an old sock. This is, and I dunk it in turpenoid. It's like an odorless turpentine. Put it in the paint, and then I brush it on. Now, Payne's Gray is a very bluish black, actually. Makes a very cool gray. I just have a feeling that this will look really nice as an undertone. And I'm not going to go dark anywhere at all. Just going to put it on nice and even. This will be dry by tomorrow. I probably won't start painting on it till Monday. Alright, I will see you then.